It's very nice to meet you, and thank you for being able to take the time with us today.
Glad to be with you.
It can be difficult, it seems, running as a progressive Democrat to talk about oil, especially in a very oil-rich county. How do you sort of thread that needle?
We all know that the planet is in crisis and climate change is real. And fossil fuels contribute in many ways to this climate crisis. And so we have to find a balance, especially as it relates to jobs. And I believe, we have to get to a green economy. And in fact, we have to understand how workers especially are affected and make sure we have jobs for workers who need to have a just transition into a new economy. When the base is closed, I started the process for base conversion, where we made sure that the industries and the people and the jobs and the businesses weren't hit in a way that would really jeopardize their livelihoods. And we have to do the same thing as it relates to oil.
People feel a little stretched these days is just buying stuff with inflation. If they're just going out to the market or going to get gas, things are more expensive than they used to be. I know that there were a couple big bills that have been passed over the last couple of years. The Inflation Reduction Act, the infrastructure bill. What are you planning on running on these two bills, even in the short term that inflation hasn't gone down by much?
Well, clearly we have a crisis, and inflation is still too high, and the affordability gap in California, given the cost of living and given the wage gap and given the affordability crisis. I mean, in many parts of California, people are not paid the wages that allow them to live a decent life. And so the Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS bill, the infrastructure bill brought investments into California throughout the state to create good paying union jobs, to help spur business development, and to help really build our infrastructure, our systems, our water systems, our efforts to build healthcare centers, schools, in our housing is infrastructure. We've invested quite a bit in infrastructure to make sure that we address affordable housing in a new and unique way. And so these bills, yes, I'm campaigning on what we have done with the Biden administration, but what we need to do, because I know in Bakersfield and Kern County and the Central Valley, food insecurity is real. And I fight very hard to make sure that all of our farmers and that all of our ag industry and that all of our workers are treated fairly. And in fact, I have seen over the last month how these MAGA extremists, Republicans, that's who they are trying to dismantle everything that we have done to make people's lives better.
The big three, it seems, candidates in this race, yourself, Representative Porter, and Representative Schiff, have all talked about being progressive Democrats. What sets you apart from those other two?
Well, what sets me apart is when you look at my history and experience of being able to deliver, I've delivered millions of dollars to California and to my congressional district. And I have the experience in working across the aisle. I'm not constantly fighting against people. When I see an opening to work in a bipartisan way, to work with Republicans, I do that. I've led efforts on poverty reduction, on making sure that we insist that we have fair wages for people union workers who have difficulties with their contracts. I've helped negotiate those contracts. I've been an advocate for small businesses in terms of my own experience as a small business owner. And I'm a psychiatric social worker by profession. Mental health, let me tell you, is a big deal. And you know that. Suicide rates are high among teenagers. My experience founding and running a community mental health center is really important. And I don't believe my opponents have their lawyers, great, but I have a background in psychology and clinical social work and mental health. And having started a mental health center, I understand the mental health needs of California. So that is so important when so many people are so vulnerable right now to so many social determinants that have created havoc in their lives.
Now, Senator Feinstein has some medical complications right now that she's dealing with. There's a decent chance that someone could be appointed if she seeks not to finish out her term. What would you do if Governor Newsom were to nominate you for that position?
First, let me say I'm praying that Senator Feinstein continues to get better. She's back at work, and we all know she has health challenges, but for me personally, it's extremely important that people understand that I'm looking at the very human factors that are involved, and hoping that she'll be able to serve her term and continue her work. And I'm very focused, Will, on running this campaign and winning this campaign. And you know what I'm doing. I'm going up and down the Central Valley. I'm going to the Inland Empire, to Orange County, to Northern California, to the coastal areas, so people get to know me, because the polls show that it's neck and neck. I'm 13%. Katie Porter is 19%. Adam Schiff is at 16%. And they're almost 40% of the public undecided, 40% of voters. And so this is my focus. I am focusing on that. And that's what I'm concerned about in terms of my priorities.
Now, to follow up to that question, are you concerned that that your opponents, your critics, will point out that you are 77 years old yourself when this appointment or this election comes around?
Well, that's no secret. I'm appointed. I mean, everyone knows my age, and I'm a public servant. I've been in public life for many years. I think what's important is people have to understand they need somebody who knows how to fight, first of all, against these extremist Republicans. And it's important that people recognize I've been fighting for voting rights. I've been fighting for all of the issues that people care about and to protect our democracy. And I have the experience as a legislator, an appropriator, and a negotiator. I also have a broad global perspective. I serve on this Appropriations Committee, the ranking member of the State and Foreign Operations Committee. And it's important that we understand and have a senator who can connect the domestic and foreign policies to connect our foreign and domestic policies, and have a global perspective. I believe that people are going to vote for someone who they can believe in, who they can trust, and who has the history of fighting when we need to fight.
Well, Representative Lee, thank you for taking the time to join us today. With all the travel challenges that you face today, being able to still make it happen, we appreciate it.
Thank you. Nice being with you.